Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got the overnight high up here and the overnight low down here. These are our key levels for the day. I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. Now when I started trading, I noticed it was getting pretty sideways, and we have this first entry long off the EMA. Now I see there's a wick higher, then we have a second entry. So I can see there's technically a second entry. To me, this is just one leg down on a big picture. I just see one leg, and that's not enough to enter long. But we do continue higher though, and then we bounce off right there. We push down a little bit. That basically confirms our overnight high right there. And so what I was hoping for at this point was to kind of just break out from here and then get another push up, because we have this spike up right here. I was hoping for a break, another spike up. It'd be easier to find a short. But instead what happens is we just continue up this uptrend right here. And so we break out of the overnight high, we make this new high, and then we get this first entry long. Now, look, when you've broken out, I see that there's, first attempt to fade, second attempt to fade, but it's about the count reset. It's about the new high. We pushed out. This is the whole breakout. Even though we had this pullback right here, this whole move right here is the breakout, and then we have one attempt to fade. Now, when you break out of an overnight high, or if you break out of a range, you want to see 2 attempts to fade before you buy with the breakout. It's, because price will try to fade ranges. Most breakouts fail. So when you break out, there's going to be traders looking to fade, and there's going to be traders looking to buy the breakout. Now, since most breakouts fail, you do want to wait on 2 attempts to fade before you buy with the breakout. Otherwise, you could easily get trapped. It could easily tick higher here, stop you out with the second leg down. And so you don't want to enter on the first attempt to fade. You don't want to expect that to fail. So it does push up higher here anyway, and then we get this bigger picture leg down here. So we have a new high right here. And now notice how this whole structure is pushing out. And like I say, price action levels get bigger as more time goes on. So whereas at first this was the breakout right here, and then this was the first attempt to fade, now that more price action has formed, this whole trend right here is the breakout, and then this is the first attempt to fade. So we have this breakout and then first attempt to fade. What we could get is a break from that, and then a second leg down, maybe closing back above the EMA, and then you can get along with the breakout because you would have 2 attempts to fade. But unfortunately, at this point right here, we only get this one leg down, and then we go up and we make a new high again. And so at this point, you have this uptrend, break, new high, and so it's not surprising we shot down very fast. And so you have a new reset here, and now price can still try to fade this range, of course, this overnight high. And so you have first attempt to fade, you break, and then you have a second attempt to fade. You can clearly see that. Let me move these out of the way really quick. I know it's choppy here, but I'm sure you can still see what I mean when I say first attempt to fade. Ever since the new high, we have first entry long, second entry long, and it's holding on top of the overnight high, and it closing above. Now I know it's pretty choppy, but my target is within this chop, so it didn't really bother me. We have this push up, break, measured move in play, and not to mention this other measured move, which I want to get into. This measured move right here, it might seem a bit strange because it's not stemming from the beginning of a trend. Usually you'd see measured moves, they start from the beginning of this trend. This one actually started a little bit differently. Notice the spike up, and then we, like in midway through this spike, we started going into a more shallow channel. So we had a very sudden shift in direction of this trend, and that's the stem of this measured move. Drag it down to here. Perfect measured move. This is a little bit more advanced measured move, but it's worth, trying to study these things. So perfect measured move. As soon as it was met, it reversed. Also, this measured move in play here, as soon as it was met, it immediately started reversing. These are not coincidences. You can go every day and you can find measured move after measured move after measured move. You have to learn these things. You got to learn these bigger picture measured moves. They're very important. And so as soon as these measured moves were met, we rushed below the EMA, we pushed back above, and then we ticked higher than that green bar, we trapped lower, and then we closed back below the EMA and the range high. And so this was a lower high I really liked because it's such good context. So it's a breakout of the range. Most breakouts fail. We're entering short on the second attempt to fade. Notice that second attempt. That's very important. That's why second entries are so important, because moves are bigger on the second leg. And so we're entering on the second leg. It's after a major measured move and a smaller measured move. It's also attracted to the overnight high, which acts as a magnet. I'm doing 1-to-1, getting out right before the overnight high because it is a key level. And we push lower here, and then we start going into this downtrend here. And so I drew it, off these two highs right here and dragged it down to these lows to see how it fit. It ended up not holding a third time. But as you can see, we clearly do have some kind of downtrend right here. Notice this thinner one, it fits better. And so sometimes you can draw these larger ones to see how they end up holding. In this case, it didn't hold, but you see what I was trying to do there. And so anyway, we fade right here. So perfect place, 2 major legs up, immediately leads into a fade. And so we have this huge push down. There's not really any shorts on the way down here. You get this first entry right there, lower high, nothing's touching the EMA. You want to stay out of it. Push lower, we break out, we push above the EMA, we start getting very choppy here. Now, of course, when you get a downtrend like this, pushing back into this overnight high, what you could get is 2 clear legs up, retesting the overnight high, and that would form a failed second entry. You don't get anything clear like that, unfortunately. This really ends up being just 1 leg here. And so we push up, it gets really choppy, we get this breakout pullback. Unfortunately, no real way to enter long on that. I mean, even if this was a good setup, you don't have any room to the overnight high. You'd have to push your target really high out, but it's not even a good setup anyway, so it doesn't matter. But we retest the overnight high, we push off of it, no clear entries at this point. You do have, this possibility right here that would keep you worried, but it's also just not getting below the EMA at first. But you can tell. Let me just quickly draw out some bigger stuff really quick, or let me just change this red arrow to blue really quick, just for a visual. So notice we have this first entry long, and then second entry long right here. So this is a big picture failed second entry I'm showing you here. First entry long, second entry long, failure. Now, there's a lot of noise inside of these moves here, moving around, but we can tell that on a big picture, we can see that these legs are pretty clear just at a glance. And so this is the big picture failed second entry right here. Now, there could be a bigger one. It could have formed better than this, of course, and I didn't even manage to get in on this. But we have a big picture failed second entry with great context. It just retested the overnight high, and then this is basically just a lower high from that retest. Of course, still a big picture failed second entry. And it's also fading this range right here. And I was not even in the room. I left the room for a bit while this happened, unfortunately. And so I did not manage to get in on that. But we do start going into this downtrend here. It's a little bit easier to find use the lows to find this one right here. It's a little bit more clean off the lows at first. But we are going into this downtrend right here. We get this, we push out from this low right here, from this big trade. We push out. We get this first entry short right here. At first, it would be a little bit like this, and then I kind of started using the lows more. But at first, it broke, a couple attempts down, but we can clearly tell that, when you use these lows, there was a larger trend in play there. But unfortunately, there's no clear entries on it. Here you push up, get a first entry, push lower here, you get a new low, another first entry right there. And at that point, it's just getting really sideways and choppy. I mean, you can see the range, I'm sure. So you don't want to enter in stuff like that. We push lower here, we bounce off those lows. It's, once again, only a first entry to the other side, and it just broke straight out, so there's no clear resistance, or it's not finding resistance there. So you don't want to go short on that. It's just a green bar breaking out. Then we push lower, we have a second leg here, so we're getting these 2 legs up here. And so, of course, that doesn't mean just go short just because it's at a measured move. You have no good signal bar or anything. But I wouldn't be surprised if we turn down here. Now, notice this. I'm going to measure this, so copy that. I'm going to delete some of these other things just to unclutter really quick. Notice this right here, leg down, break, second leg down. This is a measured move. We didn't quite reach it. We could still reach it, and so I wouldn't be surprised if this 2-legged move right here basically launches the move down to this measured move right here. It's actually very common when you have an active measured move in play if you can get a smaller measured move to the other direction, that will often find you a good trade to reach the larger measured move. Because these are magnets, not to mention the overnight low here. If you are playing range rules, when price comes off one side, you can expect it to try to reach the other side. And so it's likely that there will be possibly a short right here. Even if we don't get any clear entry immediately, we could get some kind of failed second entry after we rush below the EMA. And then it would be a smaller picture failed second entry to complete a larger measured move. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. I hope maybe these bigger picture structures are becoming more clear. And, the different types of measured moves, like these types of measured moves, they're not as common as, these kind where they start at the beginning of a trend and then they end at the end of the move. This one started in the middle of that trend due to the shift in direction. And they are a little bit harder to spot, but if you train yourself, you will be able to find them. And you just got to practice, go through many days of price action every day during your studying. But anyway, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. I really hope you enjoyed it. Hope this is helpful. And yep, I'll see you all next time. Y'all have a good day.